Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sienna, and today we are going to be talking about some of the best plant species to give during the holidays. So obviously, as I'm guessing, most of you realize that the holidays are coming up pretty soon. So regardless of what holiday that you celebrate, now is the best time, one of the best times. Technically, all the time is a good time to give plants, but especially now is a great time to give friends and family plants as gifts. I personally always love getting houseplants, and especially getting someone else into the houseplant community can be an amazing thing for them. Regardless of if they think they're a plant killer, they really aren't. So it's just about gaining some confidence, getting them a plant, and it can just be a great holiday gift. Now, if you have not already, please hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new upload. And while you're down there, feel free to leave a comment about any future upload ideas you would like to see, or if you end up taking my suggestion and getting any of these plants for a friend of yours. And with that being said, let's get straight onto this list of plants. Pretty exciting. So the first category that I laid out is for that person in your life that just really likes flowers. Not everyone is a foliage person. I personally love foliage, but not everyone is. And sometimes people just want a plant in their house that can flower, bring some color, and just add that little pop to their life. So the ones that I listed out include African violets, peace lilies, and Hoyas. All three of these guys can be great flowering plants. African violets have a number of different colors that you can get them in. I've seen them in blue, purple, pink. I think I've even seen them in red and white. If your friend has a favorite color, then get them that of the African violets. But they are really easy to take care of and actually bloom pretty regularly. As for the peace lily, again, these guys are super cool. They need a lot of water. So your friend or family member needs to recognize this so they don't kill their spathiphyllum. But if they recognize that they need to keep the soil of their peace lily relatively moist most of the time, allowing for subtle dry out periods, then they're going to be perfectly fine. Spathiphyllums are also pretty good about being lower light plants, so if your friend doesn't have a huge south-facing window, this might be a good option. However, if your friend does have a huge south-facing window, then a Hoya might be better because these guys, it's so rewarding to see them bloom. They don't do it quite as often or consistently as the African violet or the spathiphyllum, but their blooms smell beautiful, and even the foliage on its own is really cool regardless of if they bloom. The next category is for the
plant killer.
Now, this, I have to admit, is a pretty common category for people I meet. A lot of people who aren't in the plant community think that they just have a black or brown thumb or whatever the opposite of a green thumb would be. And it's just not the case. So the best type of plant to get the plant killer is one that's going to be super hard to kill. Now, obviously, there are a ton of beginner plant varieties that are hard to kill, and you can check out some lists of beginner-friendly houseplants, but some of my favorites include spider plants because they are pretty easy to propagate, and if the main mother plant dies, then you still have a little cutting. Along with this, ZZ plants. It is impossible to kill a ZZ plant. I have not seen it done before. Maybe your friend has done this, but again, just let it dry out. That's literally all you have to do. Water it rarely. If your friend is a chronic overwaterer, you can try the Photonia or the nerve plant, which again has awesome foliage. I've seen ones that are streaked white or pink or red. My personal favorite is the red. But the reason why these plants actually can be good for beginners is a question I get a lot is how can you tell when your plants need to be watered? And the Photonia just tells you. The whole plant completely droops over. This does not mean it's dead. It just means it needs water. The next category is for the person with no windows. And I'm joking about this. You still need windows to have plants unless you're considering having grow lights, but this is more for the person with low light in their house. And I think I have some interesting options for them. The first one being a vining philodendron, so that could be a Brazil philodendron or a Hartley philodendron, and these are both just super cool plants. Hold on, I can grab mine. Okay, here we go. So here is my Hartley philodendron, and the Brazil philodendron is pretty much the same. It just has lighter variegation on some of the leaves, and this plant probably has to be twice the size of when I first got it, which was at most 2 months ago. So they are super fast growing, great in low light, especially if your friend is looking for something that is going to vine off, maybe on a shelf, maybe next to a window, that type of thing. This plant is going to be an excellent choice for them. Next, in the quote windowless category, I also have calathea. Now, I wouldn't say they're necessarily super low light plants, but they can definitely handle medium to low light, and they are not going to be happy in direct or even indirect bright light. They do like higher humidity, so if you know a friend who lives in a bog or in a swamp or someplace like Florida with high humidity, or maybe they just really like humidifiers and they have humidifiers all over the house, calatheas might be good for them. Finally, for the low light category, we have Marimo moss balls, and I've actually been considering getting one of these. These are little spherical balls of moss that you keep in cold water, and they need probably the least amount of light on this list. And you can look up more of the specifics about Marimo moss balls, but they are very quirky, very cute, and quite a unique houseplant to own. I'm also into fish, and I often see them in the fish section of pet stores, which might be a place that you can find them. But again, super cool plant, and one definitely worth checking out if you just don't have any light. The next category is for the foliage lover, and I would include myself in this category. I love the different patterns that certain plants have on their leaves. I think it's one of the best characteristics a plant can have if it just has awesome foliage. So if your friend is of the same mind as me, or your family member, or even you, let's admit it, maybe you're just here to buy your plant for yourself, I have a couple different options for you. The first one is Dieffenbachia or Chinese evergreen. There are two different types of plants, but honestly, they're very similar in their care and also can be confused if you don't know how to tell the difference. The Dieffenbachia generally has more whites and greens a part of its patterning. So if you like that type of look, then a dumb cane, which is the other name for a Dieffenbachia, you might like better. As for the Chinese evergreen, my personal favorite, even though it's kind of common, is the Silver Bay Aglaonema. They have really nice weeping looking leaves, and their foliage is this really classy. Never thought I'd say that about a plant, but really classy, kind of grayish green color. But if you're not into that sort of look, there are also bright reds or pinks or whites or even champagne-y colors. So it's really up to your personal preference for the Chinese evergreens. Next in this category, we have Stromanth and Marantas, which are again a part of the prayer plant family. So that means that their leaves are going to be moving throughout the day, which is an added bonus. You get to see that happening. But these guys have awesome foliage, and I'm going to go get my Maranta, which I'm absolutely in love with. If you have not already seen the video where I got this guy, I will leave it up here somewhere, but I got this plant, this sized plant, for only $9.99. I know, pretty impressive, and this has probably put out 10 new leaves since I got it. It has been so happy right next to the window. I don't know what I did to deserve this plant, why it likes what it's doing, but I'm not gonna change it. It seems to be happy. But you can see here we have a really pretty leaf, and this is a lemon lime Maranta, just absolutely gorgeous. As for the Stromanth, these plants look kind of similar. They do tend to brown at the tips a little bit more easily than the Marantas do in my experience, but again, super cool plant still and has awesome foliage, especially if you look into some of the less common varieties. And finally in this category is the Syngonium, super cool plant, also known as the arrowhead vine. So they do vine out over time, but there are plenty of different colors. You can get them in pink, you can get them in green, you can have them have white variegation, a lot of different options in this category. And really, if you stumble across a plant that just has amazing foliage, then if your friend or you knows how to take care of this plant, then you'll be fine. And the last category is one of my personal favorites, and it is the oddball category. If your friend is just quirky, isn't like other people, is a little off the beaten path, goes to their own drum, whatever the phrase is, then some of these very unique, kind of strange looking plants might be better for them. The first two are actually ferns, and again, ferns love water, so just keep that in mind. If your friend doesn't know how to water something, then maybe this is not the best option, but it includes staghorn ferns and asparagus ferns. These are both super unique looking ferns. The asparagus fern is very thin and almost fuzzy looking. It's not fuzzy, but it looks almost like it would be. And the staghorn fern is very, I don't know, every time I see it, it reminds me of some sort of mushroom, but that's beside the point. Either way, if your friend is into very unique looking plants, then these two might be a good option for them. The second one is a whale fin sansevieria. It's a very unique looking sansevieria. Generally, when you first buy them, they just have a single spike, and maybe your friend or your family member might be into that. I don't know. I am not a big sansevieria fan, but I know people who go crazy over these whale fin sansevierias, and they are arguably very unique looking. And then finally, we have the zigzag cacti, and these are super easy to take care of, pretty easy to propagate, and again, they look like a zigzag. What more could you ask for? They're very cool plants. So with that being said, I hope you guys were able to find somewhere on this list a few plants that you can give away as gifts to your friends and family this holiday season. Plants can truly make awesome, unique, and meaningful presents to the people that you love, so it's a great option to try to mix things up. Maybe instead of the pair of slippers or the blanket, you can get them a plant. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye.